Get back to our seats. We got a good sized group of candidates here. We're going to I got my cookies, so we're good to wrap it up. Our final group this evening is our candidates for Alderman. We already have 8 of them. We'll try to stay in the same format we did before. We'll each have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and then 1 minute for questions. So, I've asked the gentleman I'd like to begin.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber for having this event. This is amazing. They did it 4 years ago, and it was a start, but this is bigger and better, and I love it. So, and thank everybody for coming. My name is Brett Reese. I've lived in Harrisonville since I was born, 46 years now. I was involved in church growing up. I was in the Octagon Club, the Optimist Club had for a while, and then charity work with the Masons. I've done golf tournaments that benefited Bright Futures, and we built a new backyard for Hope Haven. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff through the years. And then about 6 years ago, I just decided it was time to move forward. So I emailed the city, and I said, what do I do about looking forward to being Alderman? Well, it turned out at the time, there was a vacancy on the Board of Alderman. There were several candidates for that vacancy. I was one of them. Went through an interview process, and I ended up getting the appointment. So I served 2 years, and then the time came to run. So 4 years ago, I ran for Board of Alderman, and fortunately won the election by 14 votes. I was good friends with the man that ran against me, Jim Proctor, was a good man. But so I've been doing this for a while. When you're an alderman, not only do you have to look forward or look at what's best for the city, but you specifically need to look good or look for what's good for your ward. I'm in Ward 3. I'm proud to live where I live. I like where I live. There's different demographics in a lot of wards. One of the things that we see in Ward 3, there's more gravel driveways. There just are. A while back, it came, I'm looking for the orange.
Yeah, that's she's quick.
There was an ordinance that was going to make everybody have to pave or concrete their driveways. I fought against that. We brought it down to, I got it down to chip and seal. I'm going to continue that. I'm going to make it so people can keep their driveways.
Good catch.
Hi, my name is Cindy Tompkins, and I'm running for Alderman Ward 2. As a Michigan native, I graduated from Michigan State Open University, and and promptly relocated to Kansas City. My family and I moved to Harrisonville about 7 years ago. We wanted to find a small community to raise our 2 boys that now go to Harrisonville High School. I wanted a charming small town. The square was open at the time. And I fell in love with it. We bought an older home here and redid it. I really think that the city needs to see its greatest assets utilized to attract new residents and new small businesses. If elected for Alderman of Ward 2, I will work hard to represent the interest of the residents in my ward. I'm very approachable. My major was communications and public speaking. You know I'm shaking. You could probably tell. I work for the school district. I'm a substitute school teacher. I've been there 7 years. I build rapport with those kids every single day and work with several different teachers. I also worked at several small little businesses off the square that I currently still help out with. So I don't have a problem getting out there and talking to people. I did. I was a new resident and got right out there and in the community every day. I will partner with my other board members. It's not just about my personal opinion, it's about the people in my ward and the community. And I will work as a team with my other aldermen to better Harrisonville. Thank you, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce here. Beautiful.
Thank you. And you should have mentioned the endurance, because I'll have to play on that. We'll have to have some fun with that.
I'm Brad Bockelman. I'm running for Ward 1 Alderman. I've lived here for 42 years and graduated from Harrisonville High School. With the economy getting better, we need to move quickly now to prepare for the approaching economic expansion. We also need to create an environment that invites new business and home building while also assisting our existing businesses. If we change our focus from commercial to residential, this would create a population base that will attract retail business and a source of employees for manufacturing business. With the many developed building lots that we have available, residential would cost nothing, while commercial would require costly infrastructure upgrades. We can support growth by changing our codes department and codes enforcement. Our codes need to be more user-friendly format. This will help with all businesses and new development. Our current code practices and enforcement is one of the biggest items that is hindering our growth that we can fix. Changing our codes department will help our reputation and be easier to work with. With the economy getting better, I am told our economy-based income is increasing. Additional housing will raise our tax base without cost to us. This will go a long ways to avoiding the additional tax as proposed by our current administration. We have excellent city services and good people and need to continue to support them. We need to assure them that they are properly funded and have a reasonable workable budget. A reasonable budget will promote pride of workmanship and morale that helps with retaining good employees. We then need to concentrate on maintaining and improving our many deferred infrastructure before going on to special projects. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello. My name's Gary Kidd. I'm running for Alderman of Ward 3. I've lived in Harrisonville all my life. I graduated from Harrisonville High School in the top of my class. Then I went on to sheet metal apprenticeships. I've been in the sheet metal business and the construction trade for 28 years. 20 of I've been a foreman. In 2004, the city wanted to get a newer property maintenance codes. I read it in the Democrat, and then I went to the public hearing and voiced my opinion. I wrote articles in the Democrat, so I got a lot of people to come out, over 100 people to come to hearing. Then I was put on a maintenance committee and continued to try to keep the codes down for the city of Harrisonville. After that, I decided that enough hadn't been done because we had a petition with 700 people's names on it. It was thrown in the trash by the mayor and city administrator at the time. So that told me that they weren't listening to the citizens of Harrisonville, and they needed to. So I ran for Alderman of Ward 3. I got into Ward 3. I think I've done a lot of good in the flooding. I went around from house to house, every place that was the flooding was going on. I talked to people in the community. When I ran for Alderman, I went around to all the businesses. I went around to everyone on the voter list in the ward, and now that seems to be the architect for everyone else running for office. I'm about to get out of here. So. I appreciate y'all coming here, and I think I can do good things for the community again. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
My name is Josh Stafford. Let me apologize in advance. I'm not a very polished public speaker, but I'm running for your Ward 4 Alderman. Like many of the people here tonight, I share a very similar story. I've been a lifelong resident of Harrisonville. My parents went to school here. I went to school here. I've got a 6-year-old daughter who's going to go to school here. Hopefully she's the only one. I think a lot of people have asked me what I want to accomplish, and I noticed one of the questions earlier for the mayor was, what type of ordinance are you looking to enact, or what's on your plate? And I think for me, it's not more about what specific things do I want to cover, so more it's just being a steward to a community. I was raised here. Like I said, I went to school here. I think that our community and our town is as much a part of me as I am of it, and I hope that we can continue moving forward in a positive direction. And I want it to be a place that's my child is proud to finish school at, and hopefully chooses to raise her family here someday. And I think with that, we're going to have some growth, and inside that growth, it needs to be controlled. But in my business, at least, and I think a reflection of most others, if you don't have some growth, you're going to have shrinkage because you can't stay the same size. So we need to create an environment in the city where we can make that happen.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marcy Miller. I am your current Alderman for Ward 2, and I am running again for that ward. As several of us up here, I am a lifelong resident. All 54 years I've been here. My husband, as well as my family, both grew up off this square. Our families had businesses right off the square. My father's welding shop was where the new police station sits. His business was directly across the street. We were both, have gone to school here, graduated here, got married here, have remained here. We have 3 beautiful children who all choose to live here, other than one. She went to Kansas, but we can't control her. But she does still work here. I work for the Harrisonville School District. 2 of my daughters work for the Harrisonville School District. And up until about 2 months ago, we owned a business here in town. My goal as an alderman is to continue to create a good place to live, to continue to have adequate shopping, have adequate businesses who people don't drive to the city for, and you don't get on the internet. You shop here. We have a lot of possibilities within our community. We have a lot of expansion that can take place. We need to help with the infrastructure, getting it out there to where businesses and residential want to come here, and this is where they want to be. We have an outstanding school district. I want to help create a community that my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren want to stay here and want to continue the growth. And this is the legacy I hope we all would want to leave and do the best we can.
Hi, my name is Kara Wilson, and I, like everybody else up here, most of us, am a lifelong resident. I graduated from Harrisonville. I have chosen to stay here and raise my kids here. I've seen a lot of things come and go, even though I'm only 40, but I've seen a lot of things come and go. I would like to see a lot of things come back. I would like to see the square revitalized. We would go to the deli after school and get ice cream and get Cokes, I would like to have a place that my kids could do things like that as well. My kids are active one of my children is active in sports through recreational, through Parks and Rec. I would like to see some improvements in that. We have a great program. I think we could have a better program. We travel to different communities to play ball. Let's face it, they have a lot better facilities than we do. We need to improve our facilities for Parks and Rec. My other daughter is a junior firefighter for Central Cass. So I would just, I'd like to see things like that, more things like that brought to the community, things for these kids to do. So we've never considered raising our kids anywhere else. I would like to see some more positive growth. There are a lot of positive things with the community. I'd just like to see that continue. Some things need to be revamped to make that positive growth possible. So hopefully we can get the city going in that direction.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'd like to introduce myself by telling you that I am a Christian by grace. I'm a wife. I'm a mother and a grandmother by favor. I'm a nurse by occupation, and I'm a Harrisonville resident by choice. My name is Judy Bowman, and I hope to be the next Ward 1 Alderman. You know, it's interesting because my husband and I, Jerry, we moved to Harrisonville 2 years ago to be closer to our kids and our grandkids who live here. For 10 years, we burned up Highway 71 coming down for school events and sporting events and church events. And when we had the opportunity to get out of a split-level home into a ranch, I told Jerry, let's just go to Harrisonville. We still have 2 boys in school. We can still be a positive influence in their lives. Well, I want you to know that there are people in this room that have said that I'm not qualified to run for alderman because I haven't lived here long enough. I would counter that by saying this. Newcomers see things that people who've lived here for a long time don't necessarily see. And newcomers have a sense of urgency that people who've lived here for a while don't share. As a newcomer, I can look at every issue that comes across my desk independently, and I can make decisions freely based on what's best for Ward 1 voters and what's best for the citizens of Harrisonville. I'm a new face with new ideas, and I'm not owned by anybody in town. I will tell you this. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 40 years. I've been taking care of people for 40 years. That's all I know how to do. Most of you know me because I walk the ward. But those of you that I don't know because you're not in Ward 1, oh, sorry, later.
Libby, it's up to you.
The person that submitted this question wanted it to be for the mayor and also the alderman. Running for public office can be a grueling experience that few people engage in on its own. Who first approached and inspired you to run, and who has financially supported your run?
There's a big group here, so I'm going to turn this up a bit. Josh, can you start this?
Try to answer all those. If I miss one, Obi, let me know. So for me, I think the first person who actually encouraged me to run for office would have actually been a group of parents that were concerned about the situation with the school board and asked me first to run for school board. After giving that some hard thought, I decided that my skill set might be better used at the city level. So I kind of pondered that a while, and the deadline to file came and passed. And then I got a phone call, 2 phone calls actually. One from our current mayor said, hey, I know you live in the ward, you're very active, would you be interested? And I said, well, possibly. And then it echoed again with a second phone call from my aunt, who actually does not live here. She's the mayor of Peculiar. She says, hey, this is kind of what we do, I think you should get in there. So after talking to her and then going back and forth and meeting with some people, I thought that it might be a good idea, so I ended up filing the next day. And that's kind of it. As far as who paid for it, me. You're looking at it. Every dollar came from me. So thank you.
Thank you.
I actually was appointed. To the Alderman 2 ward by the mayor of Harrisonville 2 years ago when Representative Donna Fouch moved up into the House of Representatives. It was not something I had ever thought too much about doing, but I will tell you I have enjoyed it immensely. You cannot sit in a town and complain and say, well, we should do or we could do, until you sit there and you listen and you get your facts and you become very appreciative of the staff that you have in place within your community and the knowledge that they have to help run your city. Everyone should have to do it. We are all citizens of this community, and we should all step forward at some point and do our share. So that's why I, in turn, chose to run again for this, because I'm not quite finished, I don't think. And like Josh, every penny I've put into it is my own.
This is something I never thought I would do. I just decided one day that the city needed to make some changes and needed to go in a different, more positive direction. So I decided to become an active member, more active member of the community and run for alderman. I don't know, I'm not a very good public speaker, I don't have very long answers, but every penny that I have has mostly come from me. My aunt gave me $100. Other than that, I pay for everything myself.
I was approached several months ago by a couple of different people that asked me if I would consider running for alderman. I fell in love with Harrisonville through my work with the police department. I helped begin the Volunteers in Police Service, enabling people to get plugged into their community and to do good things and get involved. We've done some great things like the Shop with a Cop last Christmas, the Brent District Festival, and other things. But I fell in love with the community, so being an alderman was a very natural thing for me. It was an easy decision. My husband and I talked about it last September. That's when I decided that I was going to do this. And it's been a decision that I have not regretted for one moment. The majority of the funding for my campaign has come out of my checkbook. The largest contribution that I have from a citizen has been $200. I think people give that amount of money to you when they believe in you and they believe in your goals. Contributions higher than that are usually for influence. Thank you.
Well, I started on this earlier. Did a lot of charitable stuff in Harrisonville. I've lived here my whole life. I'm one of the guys that stayed, one of the guys and gals that stayed. All my friends moved away. I love this town, and I just wanted to stay here. Whenever raising my kids here, it seemed like the next logical step. Got a hold of the city, got involved, became an alderman, got reelected. I don't have a lot of money in this campaign because I don't have a lot of money right now. I paid it all myself. I've only spent about $350 so far. I want to challenge everybody. The information about who pays what, who's given what, is online. Ask around, you'll find it. You can answer this question yourself. You can find out who's giving money, to whom, and how they're doing it. So, go get them, do your research, make smart decisions.
Thank you. See?
I never thought I would be up here running for alderman for Ward 2 in Harrisonville, but I was approached by several people in our community, in Ward 2, and friends that wanted to see a new face, wanted to see a new change, and a new opinion. And I obviously have lots of opinions. So they wanted to see a friendly face, somebody easily approachable, that they could talk to. So I was asked to run for alderman and accepted. And my campaign has been funded by my wonderful husband, Jeff Tompkins.
To answer the second question first, I'm self-funded. I received no money from anybody and I didn't ask for it. As far as my motivation for running, I don't know that any single person has done that. I just looked around. My decision to run was kind of at the last minute, and I just kind of did it on my own. Thanks.
Like I said before, in 2004, the city of Harrisonville was a small community. We didn't have any codes. There were a lot of houses that were kind of run down, paint peeling. The city decided they wanted to get what's called the International Property Maintenance Code, and they didn't want to give a year or two for the community to get up to these codes. They wanted to vote these codes in, and no codes today, codes tomorrow. So, like I wrote some things in the Democrat. I got on the codes committee. Excuse me. I was trying to help out the citizens in my ward. I live in Ward 3. I live in an older home. My parents live in an older home. I'm not funded by anyone. I'm going around door to door, and the only help I'm getting is if you put a sign up in your yard.
try to wrap this
All right. What personal qualities and strengths do you have that will make you an effective alderman?
Marcy, do you want to-
Well, for those of you who know me, I am all but outspoken. I have an opinion about most things. Not always right, and I'm the first to admit that. But I am a very good listener. I go through all of the facts that are presented to us. And I listen to the staff. They are the qualified people that we have hired and that we lean on to make our decisions. I have also been very active in this community all the time growing up through PTO, Booster Club, Bright Futures, United Way, Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City. I think I've probably touched about every organization in this town. And again, if you aren't willing to participate and have an opinion, then maybe your opinion should stay quiet.
I'm very familiar with a lot of faces of people in this community. I, like her, also have an opinion, whether it be right or wrong, whether anybody wants to hear it, they're normally going to hear it anyway. I don't know, I just wanted it to be more active than I have recently been. My kids are older now, so I am able now to be more active. So I just want to be more active and see some more positive growth and positive change in the community.
I believe my greatest skill that I bring to the Board of Aldermen is I'm a compassionate, empathetic listener. When I did volunteer work north of the river with the police department, I was a certified mediator, and I would go with an officer into the neighborhoods to help people resolve their differences. People will argue about most anything, but I wanted to make certain that people didn't get hurt and they didn't get arrested. So I'm comfortable with conflict. I am an excellent listener. I do have opinions, but I know how to hold those opinions until I hear from the person that I'm conversing with. So I think that I will be excellent at allowing dialogue to happen between citizens. We want people to feel good about living in Harrisonville, and we start that by having healthy dialogue with them.
I'm honest. I'll have a conversation with you if I completely disagree with your position. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you. I will expect you to be honest too, and if you're not, you meaning everybody, I'll call you on it. Okay? Sometimes the news I deliver as an alderman to you is, I can help you because we found this and this and we found this. And sometimes the news is crappy. And I'll tell you that news too, because don't trust anybody who says they can fix every problem, because there's 10,000 people in this town. And any decision you make as an alderman, 3,000 of those people are going to think you're an idiot. Or say that you're crooked. That's how it works. I will argue anything as far as I can. I would expect honesty, and I will deliver it myself when I have integrity.
Thank you. He's making a habit of it.
Brody.
Rudy Jackson Brown.
I think what I can bring is a freshness and a new face to my ward. Very approachable, very easy to start a rapport with, and I want to represent the people that are in my ward and what they want. It's not about my opinion, it's what they want. I'm always outside, I'm always talking to my neighbors. I want to know what they want. They approached me to run for alderman. They wanted to see me up here alongside people. And I think that's what I can bring is a freshness and a new face. And, you know, kind of like what Judy was saying. You see a different way of looking at Harrisonville when you haven't been a resident for that long. I've been a resident for 7 years. But I can also see some new things that need to happen in this way in our community.
Thank you. Fred? I like to research everything. When I get on the subject, I keep going until I get answers that I like. I try to find the right answer for every problem that I research. A lot of people don't like research, but I do. For the last 30 years, I've dealt almost exclusively in distressed real estate. I've dealt with a lot of things, actually most things that I've seen in those alderman meetings, I've dealt with in my professional life. And I think this will be a huge advantage to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Here.
Well, I think I'd probably like to talk too much because it's kind of hampering my campaign, because as I go door to door, I might end up talking to someone about grandkids, kids, what's going on in their life, so I won't have a problem sitting down and talking with anyone. I've been a foreman in the Chemo trade for over 20 years, so I know construction, I know how to work with people, I know how to deal with situations effectively to come up with an outcome that's, suitable to everyone. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I got blank now. I just look at the clock. just kind of get you some time, but I think I can do a lot of good for the community. Thank you.
Josh?
Well, like Brett mentioned a little bit ago, I think it's definitely true. If you're going to do this job, you cannot please everyone. So you're trying to definitely please the most people, make the best decision you can. That being said, I do prescribe to and believe that perception is reality. So I think that sometimes our city gets plagued by or has an issue with dealing with truly communicating what there is to do. So to me, I think a skill set of mine that might help is marketing. It's kind of a passion of mine, what I like to do, and it's not from a sales aspect, but how to truly communicate that, because that's what marketing is an intense look at communication with people. How do you communicate your ideas, thoughts to people? So I think that our city, if it can improve somewhere, definitely would maybe be a better line of communication on how we explain what we're doing as a community and what our goals and objectives are.
Thank you.
Due to the amount of aldermen we have running, we're going to continue this for another half hour, maybe 45 minutes. If anyone needs to leave, feel free to do so.
Cool.
Other than that, that's perception. Once again, before we start, I would like to thank the Harrisonville Implementation Committee for sponsoring this event. If elected, do you come in with a personal agenda that would prevent you from giving proper consideration to matters related to the city as a whole?
I have no personal agenda. I want what the people of Ward 4 want. I'm going to listen to what they want, what their wants and needs are, and I'm going to do my best to meet the wants and needs of Ward 4, not of myself. Like everyone else has said, you can't please everyone every day, so I will just do my best to please who I can, as many as I can at a time.
Well, I have no personal agenda. I'm here to serve Harrisonville. I have no political aspirations for higher office in the state legislature. I want to allow the citizens of Harrisonville to come together to talk. I want us to be able to pull in the same direction for the betterment of our city. I think the only motives that should be shared by people on this platform is care for the citizens of Harrisonville. As I've been going door to door, I've been listening, and I already have interceded on their behalf on some issues that they're sharing with me. And that's who I am. That's the type of alderman that I'm going to be. I've cared for people all my life. It's the best thing that I know how to do. And so for me, it's about what's important to the people of the city. And how can we help people really truly feel good about living here? Because as we've said, people are our greatest resource.
Thank you.
I don't know that I call it a personal agenda, but I have an agenda like everybody who lives here does. I have kids. I want them to grow up in this town. I want it to be a great town like it was when I was growing up, and it still is, and we can keep pushing it that way. Okay? I want a lot of the businesses that are empty now, like everybody does. I want to repopulate those businesses, and the way I'm doing it is working on parking lot codes, signage codes, and you can't just come in and scream that everybody's wrong and expect for it to fix overnight. You have to work with the other aldermen. You have to work with the mayor. It doesn't work black and white. Some people want you to believe that. It doesn't work that way. My agenda is to continue making it easier for small businesses, making it easier for people who live in specifically my ward, but the entire town. We're all together. It's a great town. I love it. I've always lived here. I intend to always live here, and I don't want to let it slide. Thank you.
I don't have a personal agenda. I don't have anyone persuading me. I have the concerns of the people of my ward and the citizens of Harrisonville and what they need and want. And also to work with my fellow aldermen as a team. Thank you.
I'd like to say that I have no personal agenda. Everything that I would say would be just a repeat of what Ms. Wilson just said. If I do have a personal agenda, it would be to work toward financial responsibility. I like finances, I like working with it, and that's what I'd like to work with.
I don't have any personal agendas. I was an alderman at a time where there were what I consider 4 aldermen looking for progress of the city and 4 aldermen that were against it, and the mayor was continually breaking a tie, which was pretty much right up against the rock, and we weren't getting anything done. So I didn't run for alderman again, but here recently the city brought forth a water issue to the public. So back when I was an alderman, we brought Kansas City water forth. Well, I made a proposal to upgrade our lake, upgrade our water treatment plant, the very things that the citizens just voted to do. I brought those things forth in 2007, and I saw, well, I had an ideal back then, and now the citizens have came forward. So I think I had a vision, and I think I have more vision for the city.
Time, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
Yes, I do have a personal agenda. See, we'll couple you guys up and back it up. My personal agenda is that I love my town. I love my community. I'm going to raise my family here. I think like a lot of you, you're going to raise your family here, or your grandkids are going to be here, or you've grown up here. So my agenda is that I want it to continue to be that place where more generations of all of our families can happily be.
Okay, you stole my thunder. I do have an agenda, and each and every one of us in this room sitting at this table had better have an agenda. We are a community, and we want to grow. We want to see our square become alive again like it was when we were children. We want to see commercial, business, and personal growth within our community. We have to want that, and we have to strive for that. We have to come to we have to bring forward every idea within all of our wards to get people out there and to try and bring in economic growth and residential growth, and we all have to want the same thing. We have to want a better community for our children, our grandchildren to grow up here and to want to stay here.
Thank you.
This is another question that we ask of the mayoral candidates. We'd like to hear from you as well. As an alderman, who will you seek advice or input from when you're making key decisions for the city?
Well, first and foremost, I would want to know what the citizens felt about an issue. I would always inquire of them to see what their thoughts and ideas and aspirations were. Beyond that, my next step would be to converse with my alderman team and see what their thoughts are, what they're hearing from other parts of the city. And then I would certainly approach the mayor. I would like to hear the mayor's thoughts and ideas and goals as well.
Thank you. Brett?
Every 2 years, the city sends out a citizen satisfaction survey. It goes to every household in the city that pays a utility bill. We get incredibly good information from that, and we use it to set our agenda. That's a start. That tells us what to look forward to. What are the people wanting? You obviously have to talk to the other aldermen. There's good ideas all around. The mayor, the city staff, always full of good ideas. I mean, ideas are all around us. There's answers to all of the difficult questions that we face if you just go look for them. There's compromises, there's workarounds, there's ways to make this town better everywhere you look. You just gotta keep looking, you gotta find them, you gotta implement them.
Thank you. Dave?
I think being in the school district and working with a lot of the teachers and the citizens, I hear a lot from the community there, and also, of course, with my fellow aldermen that know their wards and they're talking to their citizens and their wards, and of course mine. I think that, and talking with the mayor, and not my personal opinions, but what the community and the wards want.
I would seek advice from people in the community who I think are knowledgeable in the subject. Public input, I think, is key to making good decisions.
As I'm walking around and campaigning right now, my first questions are, what do you think of the city? What can the city do for you? What do we need? Are you having any issues, any problems? There's my first, where I'm going to get what we might do for the city. The second, we have a very good staff and knowledgeable staff, so when issues come before you, a lot of things have already been looked at. There's a lot of leadership in the community. I mean, we have the Chamber of Commerce, there's all kinds of business around. We have committees. The city has several committees which gives the advice for the things that, you know, and they have input themselves. So city staff and such. Thank you.
You know what, as many people mentioned, I think it goes without saying that we need to focus on talking to our staff, our constituency, our alderman team, our mayor. But something that has been mentioned, I think is also important is, you know, here in Harrisonville, we're the county seat. The county is over 100,000 people now. Most of the population of this county is living to the north of us. There are tremendous resources we have by just communicating with some of those other cities to see, you know, what are they doing? What's their economic growth? What's their plan going to be? How can we get on board with, you know, what they're going to do to go in the same direction so we can all enjoy the same, you know, types of fruits for our labor? I mean, you know, with us being the county seat, I think that it's also, you know, important for some of those other communities to have us be successful. So I think that they'd be more than willing to help.
I have to agree with Brett. One of the biggest informational tools that the city gets is through the survey that goes out. I think as aldermen and as leaders of the community, we have to encourage people to make their input. Don't sit back and hope that somebody's gonna do something for you that you've been wanting to see. You know, everyone is welcome to voice an opinion, and everyone needs to be encouraged to voice an opinion, because without that input from the entire community, the city doesn't really have too much direction. So the staff is very helpful and they're wonderful, but we need the community to be the voice.
I'm just gonna pretty much repeat what everybody else said. You gotta talk to your citizens of your ward. You gotta work with your other aldermen, the mayor, and your city employees. That's what I'm gonna do.
Thank you. Okay.
This kind of goes back to Gary Kidd's comments that he made. The city is on track to enact a 44% water rate increase in 13 months for the water treatment plant upgrades. Do you believe this should have been handled in a different manner than such a drastic rate increase?
Brett, this one's yours.
Well, like Gary said, several years ago, the Board of Aldermen, the city at the time, decided to purchase water from Kansas City. Okay? It's been around, I don't know, what year did you say, 2007? Somewhere around there. It's been around a long time. And the idea percolated to get back to, a lot of people said, let's have our own water. Why are we buying from Kansas City? Why are we slave to them? So for the 6 years I've been around, we've been working on it the entire time. Let's study the lake. Is it big enough with the drought conditions? Will it handle a 50-year drought? Will it handle this and that? And that, along with the citizen satisfaction survey, said, let's do this. Let's be our own water source. Let's make it right. This is an expensive proposition up front, a very expensive proposition up front. In the long run, it's cheaper. We're not looking at Kansas City we're not just completely going to them for their prices. Some things you have to invest in up front to get your prices in the long run. And unfortunately, this is one of them.
I think that's a really tough question for Harrisonville. I'm not an elected official, so I'm not going to be up here telling you I know what happened or what should have happened. I know that I would work with the aldermen and make sure that we look at all aspects of it and investigate it before a decision is made.
I think the answer is yes, it probably should be handled differently. Not being in office or not being an alderman now, I'm not knowledgeable of what happened and why. I would have to research this further. There again, I like to research things and I would keep at it until I know the answer. Thanks.
We just put the words and the city told us that we need $9 million worth of bonds. Well, the average water user in Harrisonville uses 4,000 gallons of water, so that would bring to you to be $5.50 is how much it would cost the average user this year. Well, if you take $9 million worth of bonds and you take the average user plus the commercial users of Harrisonville, the $5.50 first increase would totally pay for the $9 million worth of bonds. The issue is we have another $6.50 increase the following year, and my thoughts is this money is out there. The city wants this money to use for more projects. They could build City Hall with it. We build a police station out of water, sewer, and electric. The second raise is not needed. When we got Kansas City Water, it was 12.5% raises. We never need Kansas City Water. Thank you.
I'm going to have to echo back a little bit again. I'm quite frankly, at this point in time, not educated to make a decision on that based on the knowledge that I have. That being said, I think water is a concern for everybody. I know it's on everybody's mind that they want it to be dealt with. And as much as I hate the increase, because it's going to make my bill go up too, money's got to come from somewhere. The city is a unique situation where financially you're looking at tax base and what you got to do with that revenue. So I think that it's tricky on how you structure it. Now, that being said, Could there possibly be funds brought from, other places, or does it need to happen? I don't know. I mean, I'm all for a lower rate, but, quite frankly, it's tough to complain about things without having a basis to fix them.
One of the biggest things on the satisfaction survey was the water. That was probably one of the most highly talked about things that came back on that survey. Having done the research since 2007, says Mr. Kidd, it's not just something that they came up with overnight. There was a lot of thought process put into it. There was a lot of information gathered from within and districts around us. Nobody ever wants a tax raise. Nobody ever wants to pay higher utility bills. Nobody wants anything of that. But when you consider the age of the water treatment plant that we have today, at probably close to 30 years, without a lot, we did do a lot of work. We had engineers from Burns and Mack come in and do a lot of research for us, and to simply go in and fix some of the problems was just a patch. So at some point you have to just, go with it.
I'm gonna have to go with Cindy and Brad and Josh on this. Since I'm not in, I am not educated on it. I would hope that there would be another way to come up with some of the money. But like I said, since I don't know, I'm not educated enough on the issue, so I can't exactly answer that question.
I've been to a water plant. I went because I wanted to see for myself the condition that it was in. And I'll tell you that being out from underneath the Kansas City water agreement is probably the best thing that we ever did. Because when we lived north of the river, the lines in Kansas City are clay, and they are falling apart, and rates for Kansas City water continues to increase. And so I don't have any idea what the charge to us for water would have been had we continued that arrangement, that agreement with Kansas City. So I would have to say that water is important to us. It's important infrastructure. It's important to our people. And as Marcy said, it's important on the citizen satisfaction survey. So I think getting out from underneath the Kansas City water agreement was the best thing we ever did.
Thank you.
All right, as an alderman, can you or should you support a board decision that passed even though you opposed it?
Cindy.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. As an alderman, can you or should you support a decision passed by the board that you opposed?
I really feel like I want to be a team player with my fellow aldermen. Oh, is it not on? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now? But we all are there to represent the people of our ward. It's not on? Hello? Okay, now I'm all thrown off. I will have opposing opinions. I mean, if I've talked to the community and they have a view one way and my fellow constituents are leaning towards another way, I'm going to do what I can to get the voice of my community out there. I will oppose it. I will tell them, no, this is not what I've heard. This is not the majority. That's what I'm there for. So yes, I will do that.
Brad?
The advantage of having 8 aldermen is there's 8 different opinions coming to the board. And in theory, they would all 8 have their individual ideas. My opinion is the group as a whole will make the right decision, and I would support that.
you're put in by the people of your ward. You're supposed to be looking out for them, and you're supposed to be looking out for the best interest of Harrisonville. If you yourself feel like the decision that is made isn't in the best interest of Harrisonville or in the best interest of your ward, I can't support it. I mean, I'm there for a reason. So just because other individuals think this is what you need to be doing, that's not what you're in there for. You're in there to be thinking for yourself, taking all the information that's presented to you. I can tell you there's numerous things that have been brought before the board that haven't been good for the citizens of Harrisonville. We voted no on a police station. We got a police station. I'm telling you, they just voted to give money to 291, our water, sewer, and electric. I wouldn't support that issue. Those are things that you just cannot support.
Thank you. Josh?
Great question, whoever wrote that down, by the way.
And he's back again.
I think that it's kind of a very tricky question. I think, is it your duty to blindly follow? No, I don't believe it is. But I do think that if by support you mean, as an alderman, is it my job, even if I'm against it, to go out and educate the people that are asking why that decision was made, then yes, I think you need to support it in that manner. That does not mean you have to, like I said, blindly follow or agree with every decision that's made.
The board doesn't always agree on everything, and you as an individual have to sometimes go with your gut feeling, but the biggest thing you have to do is you do have to listen, you have to follow what you think might be the best path, but you also have to do the research. We are presented with the reasons why something should be, why we should follow along, and you are also given the reasons of why it may not be the right thing to do. But you also have to listen. We've had that several times where there's just been a couple of us that didn't agree, or there's been a couple more that didn't agree with everyone else. But you have to be able to do the research, look at the facts, and make the best judgment.
Thank you. Karen?
That's kind of a tough question. Like she said, you can't please everybody every day. I would try and just, if it's not something I would agree with, we would try and maybe see if there was another way we could do it, where it would be more agreeable to everyone, to try and, make a team effort and try and make it to what it was that most of your people in your ward would want. But you can't always do that. I'll just do my best.
Well, dialogue is good, and I would hope that the mayor would encourage the aldermen to have dialogue about issues that come before us. It is a difficult question because we know that we represent our wards individually, but I think after poking and prodding the issue and making sure that we had all the information that we could about that issue, if we chose to vote against it, I still feel that for unity and harmony of the board, it's necessary for the citizens that we come together in support of something that the majority of the board has ruled.
I think it depends on what you mean by support. I mean, legally support something? Absolutely. When this country was founded, it's a democracy, okay? It's perfectly fine for people to stand up and disagree wholeheartedly. And some people want consensus from their board. By God, everybody should agree. Totally wrong, okay? Sometimes I've been on the winning end, sometimes I've been on the losing end. You have to pick your battles, okay? Because sometimes if two of us vote no and it passes, you very well may have no chance of changing anybody's mind in the future, but sometimes you keep chipping away. I can support the board as a whole and support the democratic process and still disagree with the decision that was made by the entire body, okay? That's respecting the system that we put in place a long time ago in this country. That's what it's about.
Thank you, Brett. And we'll do 2 more questions.
What needs to be changed to stimulate growth in Harrisonville, and what would your approach be?
Brett?
growth would be to change our codes department. Our codes enforcements are, I don't know, they're just not very good. They seem to run off more business than we get. I think that would be the main thing to do.